I know this is, at this point, forever ago. I mean, this feels like a lifetime ago. And for a lot of people, it is. But, at the time when you said, "Hey, I didn't call them," were you a little pissed off or frustrated or angry or disappointed or whatever? I mean, you mentioned the way the whole Bruce thing went down. Did you have hard feelings towards Vince or Hunter or Stephanie or anything like that? Is that reason you didn't reach out?
No, I don't think so. I think I was sad. And when I say I was heartbroken, I was. My dream of being a wrestler was over, and it ended not because I wanted it to. It ended because my body forced it on me, and so I wasn't ready to retire in 06. I wasn't ready to retire again in 09, whenever 06 or whatever it was. I wasn't ready to retire again in 09. I had to because of my body. And I wasn't mad. I was very thankful that I'd gotten to work for so long. My job on Wall Street was there because of WWE. I mean, now I got that because I was trying to put a wind farm together in West Texas, but I couldn't have done that if I hadn't been with WWE. I mean, I had a name because of that, and I'd written a financial book. The financial book got published because of WWE. I mean, and then I got put on television because of financial television, because of WWE. Everything I have right now, everything I have is because of WWE. So I certainly wasn't mad. Was I disappointed? Yeah, I was disappointed it was over. I wasn't mad at them or disappointed in Vince or Hunter or Stephanie or anybody else. I was disappointed in the fact that my body had given out on me. And by not calling them, I was mad about the Bruce thing, but that wasn't something where I'm not going to call somebody because of it. There was no reason for me to call. And a lot of guys, when they, get out away from WWE, they go, "Oh, they just forgot about me." Well, of course they did. They're running television shows. Look at what they do now. They got all these television shows every single week. You think they got time to call everybody that has left a contract in the last couple of years? That, "Hey, how you doing? Just want to check in on you." That's not what you do. They're busy, and I understand that. I had no issue with that whatsoever.
I guess what I'm trying to drill down on, and I get if you don't want to talk about it, but did you feel like you ever had a rough patch with Vince, or did you always feel like I can always pick up the call? If I called him and said, "Hey, I'd like to do something," he'd bring you in because you knew when anytime he called you, you answered the call. Would he have done it for you, or did you guys have a rough patch that you've long since fixed?
We never had a rough patch where we got crossways where we didn't talk. Yes, we've had some rough patches, and a lot of those were my fault. I was young and immature and didn't handle myself very well. And yes, we've had some rough patches, but they never lasted long. We had a rough patch one time where I met him at the building, and he and Kevin called me in, and we all hugged and shook hands, and it was 100% my fault. And Vince got over it, as Vince always does, and I appreciate him for that. He was like so many people have said, not just me. He was like a father figure to me, or like an older brother.
Yeah,
he was wonderful with me. I messed up a couple of times, and Vince said, "Okay, all you got to do is just here's how you say you're sorry." And basically, what he's saying is, here's how you say you're sorry with keeping your respect. Yep. Vince never made anybody grovel or anything, which I wouldn't have done, but he knew that, but he never asked me to. So yeah, we've had some rough patches, but never where I'm not calling him and I'm not answering the phone if he calls. Now we did it for a couple of days. We did it one time for like 2 days, and we got it straight. We got it straightened out right away. But that was that was my fault. But at that point, no, it wasn't like I was mad. If I'd have called, Vince would have answered it on the first ring, unless he was in a meeting or something. To this day, if I call and Vince knows it's me, he'll answer it on the first ring, and I would certainly do the same for him.
And if we're honest, if you've had a partner in business for more than a few years, that's inevitable.
We're two high-octane personalities, me and Vince and Kevin. And that's 3, actually. But, yeah, that's 2 high-octane personalities. We have gotten crossways. Arn Anderson has told the story. Vince got up, and I thought we were going to fight one time. And I got up, too, and I thought, I really don't want to fight the boss. I really don't want to do this. But I thought I was backed into a corner, and Arn has told the story. He was sitting there in the room when it happened, and Vince threw everybody out, and I thought, good Lord, we're going to fight. I said, son of a bitch. I do not want to fight this man. Not whether I can win or lose or anything. I love him, and I'm mad at him, and he's mad at me. But when the door went out, he grabbed me and got this big bear hug on me and told me he loved me, and we sat down and we hashed things out really quick.
Do you even remember what the fight was about? I know sometimes it just becomes an emotional thing, and then later you're like, what were we even upset about? Or do you remember?
I sure do. Yep. It was over a match, and he had said something about the fact that the fact that the match wasn't good, and the fact that it was because we didn't care or something, and that just sat with me wrong. And I told him, don't you ever question my passion. And when I did, I bucked up to him right in front of everybody. That's something you don't do with Vince. And Vince got up and took his jacket off. I said, holy shit. That's the only guy we're going to fight. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to back down. And, and I don't want to blow this out. People want to make this a big deal that it is. And he threw everybody out of the room. And as soon as he went out, he hugged me, told me he loved me. And he said, I don't doubt your passion. And he said, here's what I think happened with the match. And he was correct with it. And we agreed on it. He goes, what can we do? Because he wasn't blaming me. He was mad at the situation. And he bucked up to me. And, like a young, very impetuous guy, I bucked up to him.
Do you remember what match it was?
I do, but I don't want to say.
I understand. Yeah. I'm not being very pointed because I know you like.
Yep, I do. Yeah.
Can you give us an idea what era that was of your career? Is this when you were working title matches in that era of your career?
It sure was. Yeah, I was working on top. I was working on the last match.
Okay.
And it was during that era. Yes.
So when you talked about having sort of a what we might call in the South a come to Jesus meeting at TV with you and Vince and Kevin, was that in that same era, or is that a different point in your career?
That was slightly after.
Okay.
Slightly after. And I was a little bit bitter that I wasn't in the ring anymore, and I reacted wrong to a couple of emails. Emails don't denote tone.
That's right.
And so when you read something, you read it in the tone that you were in, kind of the mindset that you were in at the time.
Yes.
I read something in the wrong tone, and I reacted horribly to it. And once you do that, then shit's on, and then it tends to escalate, and it did. And we had to have a big come to Jesus meeting, and I was 100% wrong. I mean, make no mistake about it. I'm not just taking the fall here for it. I was 100% wrong. I read something wrong, and I responded in a very immature way. And when I got called in, I just felt I felt like shit. You got one of those things where you got to kind of buck up, and be a man.
Yeah.
But you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you're an asshole also. And I was both. And I walked in that meeting, and I'm trying to keep my pride, keep fighting, but I knew I was wrong and I was an asshole. And I walked in, and Vince hugged me and said, let's sit down. Let's talk about it. He goes, I'm glad you're here. And what he did, I melted. I just I'm sorry. I'm 100% wrong. I reacted like a complete asshole, and I apologize. And that was pretty much it.
That's a teachable moment for everybody listening. Jeff and I talk about it all the time. Text and email are like the lowest form of communication. And a lot of times, because as you said, there's no tone to text. So there's no tone in the sender, and you're going to receive it however you receive it. But that's based on what's going on between your ears, not necessarily theirs. In person is the best way to communicate with issues, because I've never had an issue where tensions flare or whatever on text or email, but then we get in person and we can't just immediately just put our swords down and fix it.
Right. And that's 100% what it is. And I'm the same way. And from that day forward, I've never responded to a tough text by somebody, or what I thought was a tough text, with a tough text back. Now, occasionally, if I absolutely don't care who it is, might send something sharp or biting back, but that is very, very rare. I don't do that. I just don't do it. Not anymore. I learned my lesson that day. And if somebody sends a text that I think is sharp and biting and kind of smart ass or whatever it is, I just call them and see if that's what it was. And I've never had a time where that was sharp or biting or smart ass. They just wrote it real fast and wrote it in a way that I read it in a tone that was not there.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name's Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house, and we wanted to know what we could afford. So We spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama, what could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
That's number 212 non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.